Hey, read through the word. Today is June 17th, and today's lesson is called No One Was Sorry. And we are in 2 Chronicles chapter 21, and we'll look at verses 12 through 20. It says this: Then Elijah the prophet wrote Jehoram this letter. This is what the Lord, the God of your ancestor David, says. You have not followed the good example of your father Jehoshaphat, or your grandfather, King Asa of Judah. Instead, you have been as evil as the kings of Israel. You have led the people of Jerusalem and Judah to worship idols, just as King Ahab did in Israel. And you even killed your own brothers, men who were better than you. So now the Lord is about to strike you, your people, your children, your wives, and all that is yours with a heavy blow. You yourself will suffer a severe intestinal disease that will get worse each day until your bowels come out. Then the Lord stirred up the Philistines and the Arabs who lived near the Ethiopians to attack Jehoram. And they marched against Judah, broke down its defenses, and carried away everything of value in the royal palace, including the king's sons and his wives. Only his youngest son, Ahaziah, was spared. After all this, the Lord struck Jehoram with an incurable intestinal disease, bowels to come out, and he died in agony. His people did not build a great funeral fire to honor him as they had done for his ancestors. Jehoram was 32 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 8 years. No one was sorry when he died. They buried him in the city of David, but not in the royal cemetery. Wow. It's a lot of bowel discussion. It's like reading the first chapter of the book of Judges. Whoa. So, let's look. The life of King Jehoram, he lived an evil life. And God told Elijah to tell him, hey, you're going to be judged. And by the way, here's how the judgment's going to work out. You're going to get this really nasty disease. It's going to kill you, and your bowels are going to come out. And he died. Okay, all of that is awful, but this is the line I'm going with. No one was sorry when he died. The people, he was king. He had been king for 8 years. The people did not mourn him. The people did not honor him. And they did not even bury him like he had even been a king. He wasn't given a king's burial. He wasn't given, and it even says, okay, here's where the kings are buried. He's not buried there. They didn't even put him there. They put him somewhere else. And no one was sorry when he died. I mean, that's like the epitaph on his tombstone. No one was sorry when he died. Wow. So what led to this being said of a king of a nation who was sitting on the throne of promise? I mean, he went so far to say, hey, you're just like acting like those other kings. Remember how there was 19 kings in the northern kingdom and 20 in the south? 0 good kings in Israel, 8 good kings in Judah. And he's like, hey, you're acting like those other guys. What in the world? You're acting like you're one of them. What in the world? And so what leads to a life that says at the end of your life, and no one was sorry when he died? You know, the older I get, that's something I think about. And I've told you, I've talked with my students about those kind of things. And especially after I went through cancer. It's, you know, I had he's retired from full-time police work now, but I have a son that's in police work. But honestly, that discussion of death is something, and funerals have been something we've always talked about. We were married when we were 23 years old, and he was in the police academy when we got married. And so we've always had the discussion of what a funeral in every different season of our life. What would you want a funeral to look like? Who would you want to speak? What music would you want? And then, it's been more on the forefront because of his work. But then when I went through cancer, it became a discussion we had to have of and I have my list of songs I want played, and a lot of Travis Cottrell. And as you can imagine, what I want remembered about me, I don't want it said, and no one was sorry that she died. I want it to be her life was all about Jesus. That's really what I want. And some of you were here when I had my concussion, and outside that window was where I fell, and on that concrete. And that was the discussion I had with my son then. This is what I want you to remember about me. I need you to make sure, I need to know you love Jesus. I need to know, in the conversation we had to have. And so what leads to, and no one was sorry when he died? And I think we see some things in the life of King Jehoram that leads us to this. The first thing was King Jehoram, I would say he loved the wrong man because he loved only himself. Elijah says, hey, you killed all your brothers. You killed your 6 brothers, and they were better than you. They were better than you. And if you go back and read, his father had left them. Jehoram got to be king, but the brothers, which must have said how much the father thought of them, because it was not, he left them riches and cities, and which is something you usually don't see. So was Jehoram jealous because they got more, because they got something? He wanted to be he wanted to be the favorite. He got the throne, but look what he does with it. But he kills all of them. And then the second thing that you see when you look at the life of King Jehoram is he loved the wrong woman. You know who he married? And I think we've talked about this before over the years. His wife was the daughter of King Ahab and Jezebel. Ew. And it said that they did together. They did evil in the sight of the Lord. There's a discussion on what the purpose of marriage is right there. To do evil together and see how much you can do against and throw it in the face of God, of the covenant. But that's what they did. He loved himself. He and his wife, and if you look at Jezebel, and if her daughter was a lot like her, doubtful she was faithful in the marriage because of all of the things that were done because of the worship of Baal. So really bad stuff. So, his thought life was bad. His actions were bad. And then, so it was inside his mind. It was what he did with his body. And it was what he did with his heart, because Jehoram loved the wrong God. Now, his father, Jehoshaphat, had taught his son the ways of faith in the one true God. And Jehoram went in another way. That's the hardest thing about parenting, is it seems to be a transitional age of where your children, the faith has to stop being yours. Has to stop being your parents and start being yours, and something you take ownership of. I know my oldest son is 24 years old, and probably a couple of years ago he made the decision to go to a different church than I do. And that was what he said. He said, because he's grown up at our church and he loves our church, loves our pastor, loves everyone there. But he said, because I am heavily involved in my church, and my husband's a deacon, and I teach at the school, and he said, I feel like I'm still just your kid there. I need to walk my faith out separate from you. And I said, I totally understand that. I still love, but I love that he is. But Jehoram didn't walk in the faith of his father. He went another way. And here was the danger. He was on the throne. So not only did Jehoram walk in another way, all the people in Jerusalem and in Judah walked the other way with him. He led a nation into unfaithfulness. And when he died, no one was sorry. One man doing the wrong thing can do so much damage. Well, what would happen in our world if we lived in a way that people noticed? People noticed the way Jehoram lived, and they walked in his way, and it was not a good way. But what if we give our hearts to Jesus Christ and live like it? Because his heart was given to the wrong thing. What if we give our minds to Jesus Christ and live like it, just like he thought the wrong thoughts? What if we give everything to Jesus Christ? See, Jehoram gave his love, his mind, his body, everything to the wrong things. And look what an impact it made. So much an impact that no one was sorry when he died. But what if we did it right? What if we gave everything to Jesus and we lived like it? Like for real. For real. That we are the same people in our homes that we are out other places. Because then we can show the world that a life lived for Jesus is the greatest adventure that anyone can ever know. And our life matters because we glorify the one true King. See you next time on Read Through the Word.